So why and how did I become a Toyota Master Diagnostic Technician? That's the question that I'm going to answer for you guys today. So starting off back in 2009, after I graduated high school, that's right, I'm a young whippersnapper, graduated high school in 2009. And at that time, I was looking for a career that I wanted to get into that offered me the opportunity to work anywhere I wanted. I can relocate anywhere in the country and always find work. And something that would always be in demand, cars. So I decided to go to college for, automotive trade school. Spent about maybe close to 2 years going full time, Monday to Friday, 8 to 3. And after completing that, the trade school for automotive, my first job, believe it or not, was not at Toyota. It was actually at a Cadillac dealership. That's right, GM. So I had my fair share with GM cars too. And I tell you, man, starting at that dealership, it opened my eyes because when I first landed there, that's not the vision that I had as a automotive mechanic. See, when you're thinking about mechanic, you're thinking about alternators and, changing oils, brakes, tires, all that kind of stuff. But the way the shop functions, it's one of those things you have to experience it to really understand what I'm trying to say. And it was an eye-opener. So anyway, started off at a Cadillac dealership. I was the newbie there on the block. Everybody there was already, had their seniorities there, and the shop foreman already had his guys, buddies, and you know how that goes. So oftentimes I would make no money, and I had to learn the flat rate system. That's something that caught me by surprise. They talked about it in college, but it's one of those things you have to experience to really understand the flat rate system. So me, just fresh out of college, not too experienced, couldn't diagnose pretty much anything, So every little thing that came in the shop, I was clueless and needed help. But being in that environment kind of strengthened me for what's to come later on. I'll get, more on that in a little bit. So all the guys over there that were there before me had their buddies, had their way of getting cars in the shop, putting their favorite cars from the line of cars coming in. They take all the good and they leave all the bad for you to waste your time on. And me, I'm a newbie. I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to fix anything. And I wasn't experienced in that brand. Some of those guys, they were there for 10, 15, 20 years, sometimes, and they were way experienced than me at the GM brand. So they knew everything that was coming in, and they just wanted to see me struggle by giving me the low-paying job and the warranty time and the diagnostic jobs, knowing that I was a newbie and I couldn't really fix it for myself. So that kind of just kept going on for months and months. Fine, I didn't complain. I just, I'm here to learn, and I was kind of excited, and that time my hopes and dreams were, still fresh, and, that I finally got a job at a Cadillac dealership. And, it was Cadillac, so it was like a little bit of a bragging right. Oh, yeah, man, I'm a technician at Cadillac, blah, 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 blah. And, at the end of the day, I was not happy there. So anyways, I would always find myself with maybe 1, 2, 3 hours for the day. On a good day, I may make 7 hours for the day. And it was just horrible. So when a car comes in, I needed help. It wasn't like, oh, yeah, let me show you what to do. It was always like, hey, go look on the repair manual. Go figure it out. That's how you're going to learn. That kind of attitude. And that's not the way, you want to be, man. So I kind of had to suffer and put up with that for a while. And one of the first things they did was paired me up with the shop foreman, because, I was like a tech apprentice kind of thing. So they had me partnered up with the shop foreman. This is where the saying comes in: when life gives you lemon, you make lemonade, something cheesy like that. And that's what I did. So being paired up with the shop foreman, I would do all the heavy line work for him. So at that time, I was, getting paid maybe about $16 an hour. For a while, I was still hourly. I didn't just jump right into flat rate. So I was still getting paid clock in and then clock out time when I first started under his guidance, under the shop foreman's guidance at Cadillac. So while I was there, I would always do the heavy line jobs for him. Anytime an engine came in, he would have me do it on one lift, stripping down the engine, and then while he's doing something else. Mind you, he's getting paid for the engine job that I'm doing because I was still hourly. He had control over the shop, so nobody's going to tell him anything. So oftentimes I would be rebuilding engine for him. I'm still young and new, not experiencing in rebuilding engine, but, because his name was going to be signed off on the job, he would be extra careful and monitor exactly what I'm doing. At that point, he was helping me out because he knew it was going to be his name on the ticket. So all the CTS-Vs, Cadillac Escalades, all those trucks, I was rebuilding, putting cylinder heads in, doing short blocks, And I remember Cadillac, they didn't send short blocks like Toyota do. You actually get an empty block, you get the crank, all that stuff. You have to put it all together piece by piece. And that's what I did for a while. So that's when it was a blessing and a curse at the same time, because during that time, I gained the experience of rebuilding engines. So even though I didn't have the experience and the knowledge on how to do it, aside from what I learned in school, being under his belt gave me the experience that I needed to know how to rebuild engines. And I got used to it. After a while, I was just pretty much doing the CTS engines by myself. On the SRX, I was yanking them out by myself. I got familiar and comfortable with how to strip apart the engine, disassemble it, and then reassemble it back later without, missing any parts and keeping things organized. I got a routine developed and down pat on how to do that successfully. But, it's like the saying goes, when life gives you lemon, you make lemonade. So I knew this was an opportunity for me to learn the dirty side of mechanic, learning how to get down and dirty, rebuilding engine. I knew once I mastered that and got that down pat under my belt, I was on the right step. So I did that, just kept building engines for him, and he got paid. And finally I said, I wanted to be flat rate. I want to go on my own. And, he wasn't too happy about that because he's no longer able to double his hours because I'm no longer doing stuff on the side for him. I wanted to be on my own. So that's what I did. I went to the manager and said, hey, I want to be flat rate. I want my own lift. I want to be able to do my own thing and make my own money. And like, fine, you're not ready to be flat rate, man. That's what the shop foreman was telling me. You're not ready to be flat rate. You're not ready to go on your own. As you can see, I have reasons now, as to why he would say that, because he's going to be suffering. His hours going to go down a little bit because I'm not doing brakes and the heavy line jobs for him, yanking out motors out of Escalades just so he can reap the hours from that ticket and that job. Anyways, I got my own lift, went flat rate. I think I was getting paid maybe $18 an hour at that time at a Cadillac luxury dealership, right? $18. And I remember something happened to me at that time. Mind you, I was still making maybe 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, barely making it, man. Just every day going to work, barely making 40 hours for the week, maybe 25, 30. And that was because I was just hustling the oil change, tire rotation, hustling the lube rack, where we get basic maintenance and services. I wasn't getting none of the good stuff. So I did that. And one thing that really tipped me over the edge, I remember, because I was already at that point working there for maybe about a year and a half or so. So maybe about a year and a half I was there. And he had a buddy of his come from another state, maybe New York. Mind you, I already have my own lift, my own spot, my toolbox, been there for months, almost 2 years. I've been there for a while, well established. So he had his buddy come in from New York or something like that. And of course, there was no more lifts and spots in the shop. They had some extra like old lifts on the other side. So imagine a shop where there's like where every technician is at. And then somewhere on the other side is like spare lifts that people don't really use, or if you need it in case of emergency, you'll go use those, but there's not other technicians there. So he said, hey, I have my buddy coming from New York and I'm going to give him your bay. I'm like, what do you mean you're going to give him my bay? Where am I going to go? He's like, oh, we're going to move you to the shop on the other side. I'm like, really? And, I couldn't say nothing. Like I said, he was the shop foreman. He had seniorities. So it is what it is. So when his guy came and moved down, he was a heavy line guy, master GM technician. Fine, I can't compete. I have no saying. And he actually came down, and I thought he was joking at first, but when the guy actually came down to start working, he's like, hey, the guy is here. It's time to move your stuff. And man, I would never forget that day, guys. I would never forget it. I had to take my toolbox. I had to take the walk of shame and rolled my toolbox to the other side and relocate all my stuff, all my, tools, my roll cart, my snap-on box. I moved it. And, the guys in the shop were just looking. They already knew what was going on. It was the walk of shame. They knew what happened. They already processed everything that was happening. And I was embarrassed, honestly. So I took my stuff. I moved to the other side of the shop. The guy from New York, wherever he came from, took my original spot. And I was working in the the other side of the shop where nobody was at except for a few alignment racks. But, I had the whole space to myself, but it was quiet. Nobody was there. All the main techs were on the other side. No, fine, no problem. I didn't complain. I didn't whine. I just took it on the chin. But in my mind, I already had a plan. By that point, I was fed up. I'm like, okay, I see how it is. Along with that and some other situations that happened, I finally put my 2 weeks in. I got fed up with the job. So the manager was like, hey, where you going to find, that's going to pay you $16, $18 an hour. I forgot exactly how much it was at that time. Where are you going to find another job that's going to give you that? At that point, I didn't care. I left that dealership, Cadillac. I actually went back to Publix 5 days a week because I was still working at Publix one day. So I left the Cadillac dealership, went back to Publix 5 days a week, and I was just fed up with the automotive industry at that point. And I was like, man, is that really how the automotive industry is? Fresh out of college, was excited to go in, Cadillac dealership. What could go wrong, right? I was excited, young whippersnapper ready to start his automotive career. I didn't know I was going to have my dreams sapped and, tainted and, because of how the employees were. The parts guys were always angry. Advisors were always stressed. The guys in the shop never wanted to help you out. They would rather watch you struggle with a situation instead of coming and giving you a helping hand. So I really hated the automotive industry at that point. I didn't want to be a mechanic anymore. But at that point, I already went to school for about 2 years, invested all this money in tools in my toolbox, and taking that walk of shame and rolling my toolbox to the other side of the shop was like the icing on the cake. So like I said, going back to Publix for 5 days, I knew I didn't want to just waste all the knowledge that I learned and the experiences. I really wanted to pursue that career as an automotive technician. So I'm like, So I started looking for other dealerships, where can I work at? Almost a year passed at going back to Publix 5 days a week. So I said, okay, let me give this automotive career thing a try again. Let me give it another try. Those guys were jerks over there at the Cadillac dealership. I'm going to give it a shot again. But this time I'm going to approach it differently. So I really seen how the shop was operated. And I knew at that point, for me to succeed in this career, I would have to be at the top. I would have to be a master like those guys were master. That's the only way they had control of the shop. So I had it in my mind already that when I go to this dealership, Toyota, I'm going to study everything that I need to study. I'm going to make sure I'm ASC certified from brakes all the way down to automatic transmission, engine repair, engine performance, AC. No matter what area of the vehicle, I'm going to make sure that I'm knowledgeable at it. I'm experienced. I know it like the back of my hands. So that's what I did. So I went to go apply at a Toyota dealership, giving the automotive career thing a try again. I went to apply at Toyota and, started. And it was a night and day difference between the atmosphere at Toyota and the Cadillac dealership. And at the Toyota, there was a lot more of a younger crowd. And, they were a lot more welcoming, and I actually liked the brand myself. So I had the vision and the plan and already set that I'm going to study it. I'm going to make sure I know everything about it so they can't tell me nothing. So that's what I did. Got all my ASC certifications, completed all my Toyota training, and the manager saw that, so they sent me to school at the Toyota training facility, completed all my training, became hybrid certified expert, master diagnostic technician, and you need to have 5 years with Toyota. So I had to wait those 5 years, even though I had the ASC certifications and completed most of my in-person class. You still need that 5 years of tenure to be considered a master. And then after master, you go take your L1, advanced engine diagnostic or advanced engine performance ASC test, and then that allows you to be a Toyota master diagnostic technician. And that's what I did. But after becoming a master diagnostic technician, one thing I told myself is whenever I'm in a position to run the shop, or if I ever become a team leader, I would never be like one of those guys that were at Cadillac. Because, I remember how I felt when I was under their rulership, under their control. They had complete control of the shop. You can't go complain to your manager that this guy's treating me this way, he's not giving me the good jobs. It's going to go in one ear and not the other. The manager's not going to listen to you. So the only way to combat that is to be that man yourself, to be that guy. So now that I'm a team leader, I know not to be a jerk like those guys were to me. So oftentimes, if I'm at the shop and I see a newbie come in the shop And I know he doesn't know about Toyotas. If I see him stuck on something, I'm quick to be like, hey, this is a common problem. This is a TSB. This is where you find the resources and the information you need to fix it. I don't like watching people struggle on cars. I don't like watching people suffer. I don't like to see people miserable. So I'm like, why you want to come to work and watch people struggle? I'm like, man, that's messed up, man. So I made sure I didn't become that guy. Even me now as a team leader, the shop where I work at now, we have a total of 4 teams, right? I'm one of the 4 team leaders. Every team have about 6 technicians. So there's about 24 technicians total, not including Express. Express, we have about 10 to 15 oil changing, technicians that just does basic maintenance. So in total, we have about maybe 35, 40 technicians, give or take. But main technicians, we have about 24 in the shop. I have 6 on my team, and the other 3 team leaders have 6 each. So with the 6 guys that I have, man, I'm always making sure that they are happy coming to work, because the automotive business is a stressful job in itself already. So I'm always making sure, we joke around, we have fun. Yeah, we in the customer service side. 9 out of 10 times, if a customer's coming to the service department, they're not really too delighted. They're not too happy, because most of the time it's because they're experiencing some kind of issue, or they're just coming for routine maintenance and they would rather not be there. So the business in itself is already stressful. So I try to make sure we all have fun in our team. We all joke around. I'm not that guy that's always handing them the heavy line job to do. A lot of the time I find that your team members or your team, guys will appreciate you getting down and dirty yourself. So sometimes they do engine, sometimes I'm doing the engine myself, I know some situation or some shops, the team leaders, the shop foreman, they would not touch an engine with a 10-foot pole. You're not going to get them to repair anything. You're not going to get them to do any warranty time. Matter of fact, all they're doing is the easy stuff, the brakes, the tires, and whatever can make them the most money fast. But me, I'm different. Sometimes I even split jobs with my team. Sometimes I'll have a tech say, hey, remove this engine out of the Tacoma and I'll rebuild it. Or, hey, remove this engine out of this FRS, I'll rebuild it and put it back together, and I'll give it back to you, and we could split the time. I've done that multiple times, and doing that way, you gain more respect. So it's not always, oh, Junior's giving me all the crap work again, and all he wants to do is sit around his toolbox and make, a lot of money. Because I remember how it felt being on the other side of that situation. So anytime I can offer some assistance, even if it's a guy not on my team, if you're a new tech coming in and you don't know where things are, you don't know how to find the repair manual information, I'm quick to help out and be like, hey, I don't want to see nobody struggle, man. And it's messed up to just sit there and watch people suffer. So anyway, so that's how I actually came to be a master diagnostic technician. Putting it in my mind that no matter what, I'm going to make sure that I'm the best at what I'm doing. And that works for anything, guys. That's the rule in life. If you want to make it and you want to actually be in control of your career path, be the best at it. Know it like the back of your hands. That goes for, if you're a barber cutting hair, be the best barber in town, male or female. If you're a female, you want to do hair, you want to be a makeup artist, be the best makeup artist in town. That way you're in control of your career and you're in control of pretty much everything from that point. Don't settle for low quality work. Be the best at what you're doing. No matter what it is, you'll guarantee yourself a successful outcome by doing that. So like I said, I don't understand how people have that mindset to treat people that way, man. But me personally, it's because I dealt with it. I had my fair share. That's why it kind of pushed me. So that's why I say it was a blessing and a curse. So sometimes you can find yourself in a bad situation, but there's always a way to see how you can benefit from it. See how you can strengthen yourself from that bad situation and turn it into a good situation later down the road. So that's my advice for you guys. If you find yourself in a situation similar to the situation that I've been in, whether you were a newbie starting at a job somewhere and they're mistreating you at the company, all right, fine. Try to gain the experience. Try to look past that. See what you could take from it, the good, shuffle through the bad, take the good out, and then apply it. And then just keep your head up and then have a positive, optimistic view of the future. And then, you just, like I said, try to be the best at it, and then you'll be sure to succeed. If you're on this career path to becoming an automotive technician, just know that you have a high likely chance of walking into a situation similar to mine. If you're a tech in the field, let me know if it sounds accurate to how you started off your career, or if you're in the shop, you see it happening daily. Make a difference, man. If don't hold the guy's hand to the fire. If you see somebody struggling, help them out. If you know something that somebody else don't know, give a helping hand. Yeah? So don't watch somebody suffer, man, if you have the ability to help them. Don't have that mindset. Be willing to help others, man. So that's pretty much how I ended up as a Toyota Master Diagnostic Technician. So every area of the car, I made sure to study it like the back of my hands. The EVAP system, emissions, fuel trims, reading engine graphs and data parameters, the whole 9 yards, man. That's what I studied, man. I can look at a graph at an engine, look at the data list, and tell you exactly how the engine's running. If it's running with too lean, too rich, I could tell you all of that. That's what I wanted to make sure I get down packed in my brain. And along with electrical work, I'm really good at doing electrical diagnostics. So those are my, specialties. And like I said, doing all those engines for the shop foreman at Cadillac, that's what kind of helped me to rebuild engines now. I'm so comfortable with rebuilding engines that, I'd rather do that than to upsell rack and pinions, doing struts and shocks. That's not really my thing. If I could just have an engine there in my bay, rebuild it, put it back together, in and out. I don't have to sit there about trying to get more than one cars in and out of my list just to try to make ends meet. Give me one car, one heavy line job, put it back together, bada bing, bada boom. So that's the blessing and the curse. So in that moment, I could have taken it two ways. Man, this shop foreman is giving me all his engine jobs. He's making all the money, and I'm sitting there doing it for him for free or for peanuts. Or I could say, hey, let me take this opportunity to learn how to do this kind of line of work, so in the future it would benefit me. And that's what I did, man. Took the opportunity and ran with it. When life gives you lemon, you make lemonade. So I hope you guys are not in the situation that I was in the past. And if you are, keep your head up high. Whatever trade you are in, whatever field, skill set, whatever career path you're trying to go down, try to be the best at it. And don't settle for less. Don't settle for 50%. Learn what you don't know and keep practicing and sharpening your skills. Just wanted to share with you my experience and my career path to becoming a Toyota Master Diagnostic Technician. That's why you see me in front of the camera today, working at a Toyota dealership. So that's how things came to be. So I hope you guys find this video informative. And if you did, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. As always, thanks for watching.